Okay. I'm going to start by saying welcome to everybody for attending this meeting on April 12th, the special meeting of the Board of Education. I'm just going to give it time for people to pop in because I see the participants are up to about 50 already. So we'll just give it a little time to start. And when I see that number stop going up drastically, we'll get started. And it seems to have stopped at 69. Does everybody see that? Yes, no? Okay, we're all good with that, right? We're up to 70, 71. I think we can start.
Yeah, with one or two extra people, it'll happen. We'll dribble in.
All right. We got all our board members on. Suzanne is on. Hello, Suzanne.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're up to 77 people, so let's get started. So the topic of discussion tonight is a continuation of our discussion from our April 5th meeting. People had questions, particularly legal questions, and I apologize to the public for we had to do that in an executive session before this meeting started. So that's why everyone is blocked out. So we've been on the phone almost an hour with our attorney. Everyone's got all of their questions asked and answered. So everyone is in a better position to discuss this, the topic. So I am just going to throw it out there to, does anyone have a motion that they would like to make?
Sure, I'll make a motion. I move to renew the March 28th resolution.
Okay, is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, now we can discuss that resolution. Everyone has copies of the resolution. It's exactly the same as it was at our March 28th meeting. So would anyone like to start the discussion? I have something that I would like to add. And I'm personally going to say that that resolution was drafted up at the time based on information that we were provided that we had to have a resolution in place by April 1st before our notices went out about the election. I think that, I think the resolution could have been written a little better. I think the resolution should have included statements to the effect of that. Put it this way, I think we should amend the resolution, and I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution. Would someone like to second that?
What's the amendment?
Yeah, I think you need to say what the amendment is before someone can second it.
Oh, okay, I could read it then. It actually is a bunch of whereases that I had put in front of the resolution, and unfortunately I got to put on my reading glasses on so nobody screen capture me. Okay. Whereas a stated goal of the Board of Education of the Eastchester Union Free School District for 2021-2022 school year is to return to operation as closely to pre-COVID-19 pandemic conditions as safely and quickly as possible. And whereas the Board of Ed recognizes that due to the COVID pandemic, the board was not permitted to use Garth Road Community Center as a polling location for the 2021-22 annual meeting and election. And whereas the Board of Education of the Eastchester Union Free School District, by resolution dated March 23rd, 2021, consolidated former election districts 1 and 2 into a single election district, and whereas the Board of Ed was only recently informed that it would be again permitted to use the Garth Road Community Center as a polling location for the 22-23 annual meeting and election, and whereas the Board of Education wishes to return to its previous practice of using the Garth Road Community Center as a polling location in a separate election district, formerly known as the Garth Road Election District, and whereas in order to return to its previous practice of using the Garth Road Community Center as a polling location in the Garth Road Election District, the board must increase the number of election districts from one consolidated election district into two separate election districts. And, I'm sorry, whereas the Board of Ed believes that it is in the best interest of the school district to increase the number of election districts from one to two separate election districts divided along the same geographical boundaries as the former election districts 1 and 2. Now therefore be it resolved, and it's the old resolution. So basically, I just put a bunch of qualifiers in there that explained why we were considering reestablishing the second election district. None of them are really controversial in any way. They're pretty much a statement of fact. So I'd like to move that we add those whereases in front of the resolution. So is there a second on that? Well, if there's not, we're going to go back to the original resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, so now we can discuss the amendments. Does anyone not want to include the amended language into a proposed resolution?
The only comment I'll make is that I feel like, while I don't dispute your amendments, I feel like the original language covers the information. It describes using the two separate districts, using the same geographical boundaries as the former election districts 1 and 2. I'm concerned that there may be a problem with the language that says that it used to be called the Garthrow district because it was actually called district number 2. So we probably need to correct that if we're going to go with that language. I would say if the consensus is that we want to move forward with the language, I don't have, other than those, other than the technicality, I don't have a problem with it. But I think it may be cleaner to just stick with the language that we started with, because it's been checked and vetted and, doesn't open up a different conversation.
Okay.
So I don't mean disrespect. I think the
No,
concept of what you're
Judah.
trying to convey with that language is great. I agree with the concepts there. But I think it'll send the direction of this conversation.
My
a different
purpose of possibly amending it would be to clarify the reasoning behind
No, I
why
understand.
we're amending it.
I understand.
I don't question the resolution at all. So if nobody wants to
I mean, if you
move
take the
on that
vote,
amendment, I will remove that amendment, that motion.
well, we would have to, so you got it, you moved it, it was seconded.
So now I'll
There's a
move to
discussion,
remove
and
it.
now we have to have a vote for the amendment. And I will tell you, and I'm not sure by Robert's rules if I have to move to amend your amendment to fix the language of the district name. But other than that, I have I'll vote for the amendment. That's no problem.
Well, I think under Robert's rules, what we would do here is, unless there was a consensus to go forward with the amended version, we'll go back to the original version and we'll continue to discuss that.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody? Okay. So any discussion on the original resolution that's been moved and seconded? Any further discussion on that?
So we're back to the original language?
The original one from March 28th, yes.
I mean, the only comment I'll make, other than what I've already expressed, is that since then we've also received, petitions and other communication from the community, and I think we need to.
Yeah, well, we have received letters and communications and emails and everything else. So, all right, so.
I think I'll just take a minute to kind of explain why I brought the motion at the last meeting, in part because of the communications that we had received. And the first vote was rushed, and it was characterized as feeling rushed, the first vote on March 28th. So with more time for reflection and opportunities to have questions answered, and also opportunities to hear from our community, I thought it was important to put it forward again, because sometimes when you have that time for reflection and you are able to get more information, I think that can have an impact on things moving forward. I do think that it's in the interest of the school district and of all our schools and of our school community to make it as easy as possible to vote, and certainly going based on precedent, people might expect that polling location. They might want to be able to use their normal community polling location. And I think also based on sort of the uniqueness of the Garth Road corridor, that's why that polling location was there. We've talked about the uniqueness of the population and the density there. So it seems like an important thing to be able to discuss and to put forward. I think we have an opportunity here as a board, after coming out of some very, very difficult times in the community and in our schools, to do something restorative by restoring this site, which has been there again for many years, and I think has great value for the community. And it's always in the interest of the district and of the community to make voting accessible. And I think that this is a step in that direction. So that is why I brought the motion forward at the last meeting. I think it's the right thing to do. And so I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it some more, and after we've had more time to reflect on it, to vote again.
Okay, and any other comments from anybody? Because I think at this point, we'll just vote on the previous resolution now that everyone has all of the information at hand and all their questions have been answered. So being no further comments, let's go all in favor of the previous resolution. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, any opposed? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, 4. Okay, 4. That means the resolution does not pass. So now, while we're still here at the meeting, I would just like to make a statement that I know everyone on the board feels that we need to invest out of equity and fairness. We need to investigate the possibility of creating additional election districts. And I'm going to make a statement here that says that I think we can do that without any resolution, that we could do that just by direction to the district. And I'm pretty comfortable that everyone would support doing so, getting all of our ducks in a row, investigating everything, see what's involved in creating new election districts, 1, 2, or more, if they make sense. And I'm just going to ask by a show of hands, this is not a vote. Are we all okay with directing the administration to start that process? And then we could have some public hearings, we get community input on it. We'll hear from all our constituencies and we'll take it from there. Is everybody cool with that? Yes, no? I'm trying not to put anybody in a spot. If you're not okay with it, don't,
You mean, Dina, we're okay with doing the due diligence to explore
absolutely.
where it makes sense to have the equity across the district and to
It's all
not
about
jeopardize communication and people misunderstanding where they need to go and respecting the democratic process. And what Dr. Glass, he followed the process from March 28th, and he went and conducted his notification, and we just want to do the right thing.
We're going to do it thoughtfully, okay?
Mhm.
And we're going to do it. Can't pull the word out of my head, but we're going to do it diligently, and it's going to take some time. It might take us 6 months. It might take us 8 months, but we're going to do it with input from the community. We'll accept information, and we're going to direct the district to get started on that process. And
I think I would,
support,
I'm
when
not sure.
we're
I
all
want to think
together.
about it some more. I think that I have some concern with sort of the framing of this as an issue of equity,
I'm not, Cheryl, I didn't ask for a vote. I just say,
Right.
is everybody
So it's something to
cool?
think of. Well, yeah, but you're asking us
looking
to
into
direct
it.
the district to take these steps. And I think that I just want to think about it some more, if that's where we want to be pouring
We're
resources.
going to.
right
We're going to
now.
discuss it publicly. We're
Right,
gonna
let's
accept
discuss it
community
publicly.
input. We might have a forum on it at some point.
I think that's
So, yeah,
reasonable.
this isn't going to happen in the next 30 days. It's not going to happen before school.
No, I understand that. Yeah,
And
so-
I think it's reasonable to have some discussion.
I'm just trying to get
Mhm.
the sentiment that I think we're all rowing in the same direction, that we should look at it intelligently. That's where
So-
I'm trying to come from.
Vito, am I correct in understanding that you're asking us, do we think that the district could review our districts and then make a recommendation as to where polling places and districts should be. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
beyond
I'm fine.
could, I'm kind of saying should. So could or should are kind of close in this respect. But yes, yeah, I'm just asking for everyone's sentiment. Should we look at corrections going
Mhm.
forward? A different path to take. So, and we'll do it together. We're going to do it as a unit, you know. We've heard a lot from the community. You know, people want changes. We've heard from different sectors in the community about equity. And yeah, it should be equitable. It shouldn't only favor voters in one particular area. It's got to be fair. So let's take a look at it. Let's look at it and discuss it publicly, and we'll take it from there. And you know what? That'll be one of our goals for next year, that next election will have considered the possibility of new election districts. So, you know, we don't need to vote on it. I just haven't heard any objections to that. So we'll take it from there.
Can I
So-
make one brief correction to something that we learned
Sure.
today that was from something I said at the last meeting, having to do with the last time I mentioned about mailing in your ballots. So we learned today that there are actually no more lock boxes like we had during COVID, but you can hand deliver your ballot, your absentee ballot, if you got an absentee ballot because of fear of COVID or any other reason that is on the list of legitimate reasons. If you got an absentee ballot, you can mail it in, or you can have it hand delivered to the district office by 5 p.m., by close of business at the district office on election day. So I'm not encouraging anyone to wait till the last minute. I'm a big fan of getting ahead of things. But if you got your mail-in late enough that you have to get it hand delivered the day before or something, or even day of election, that is still an acceptable way of getting your vote in. So we want to hear from you, and we want everyone's vote to count.
So Judah, you can drop off, you can hand deliver those at any time at this point. Is that correct?
Correct. Up
To the district
until 5 p.m. on election day. Correct.
To the district
think there
office.
may be
You
a
walk
start-
inside. I'm sorry?
There may be a start date because obviously the ballots aren't printed yet.
Right.
But your application to get a ballot could be turned in at any time at this point.
And I believe you can hand deliver the application as well.
Yes.
And then when you fill out the application, if I remember correctly, it's been a couple of years since I did it myself, but I believe you can identify whether you want to actually take. So if you're not going to be able to be in the county, for example, on election day, and you're driving by the school and you want to stop into the district office and get an absentee ballot, you can actually fill it out and take the absentee ballot right there once they're available. They're not yet available because we're waiting for the deadline for all of the passing of everything. I forget if the date is April. May
Somewhere around April 19th, but don't
April
hold me to
19th,
that.
yeah. So once the ballots are set up, you'll be able to get them. And if not, you can actually fill out and have it mailed to you so that it's delivered to you.
Okay, any other comments? Because at this point, we have to recess into executive session for a personnel matter. So last call, any other comments? Okay, all in favor to recess?
I'll move it. I
Okay,
think we need to
yes,
move in
sorry,
second.
Steve, first,
Yeah, I'll move it.
Christie second, all in favor? Jonah, everybody. Suzanne, you didn't vote, but that's okay. Well, I'm only kidding.
So everybody, the link that you'll be using for this next meeting is not the previous link that you just
We have to change
used for
links,
executive
correct.
session. It's the link I already gave you previously.
Right. It's the.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you all in a couple of minutes.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
everybody. and Thank
everybody.
everybody from the public for dialing in. Good night.
Okay.